Welcome. Today we're diving straight into Exodus chapter 34.
Mm,
We're picking up right after, well, the whole golden calf disaster. Moses smashed the first tablets.
a really low point. Seems like the relationship is just shattered, literally and figuratively.
Exactly. So now Moses has to go back up Mount Sinai. But this isn't just, fetching a replacement.
No, it feels much more significant. This is about rebuilding,
Yeah.
about reestablishing the covenant,
Right. So we're going to look at this incredible mountain encounter, this really deep declaration of God's own character,
which is fascinating in itself.
the actual renewal of the covenant with some pretty specific laws attached.
Some quite surprising ones, too.
And then this amazing physical consequence for Moses after speaking directly with the divine.
That radiant face.
Yeah.
It's a powerful chapter.
Okay, so how does this repair job even start? It begins with a practical step, doesn't it? A command.
It does. The Lord tells Moses, basically, you need to chisel out 2 new stone tablets,
Just like the first ones.
right, like the ones you broke. And then I will write the words on them.
So there's that element of Moses having to do the physical work of preparing them this time.
Yeah, a bit of responsibility there.
Yeah.
And the setup for the meeting is intense.
It's super intense.
Be ready in the morning, go up Sinai, present yourself alone.
That isolation is really emphasized, isn't it?
Totally. No one is to come with you, not even animals nearby.
No flocks, no herds grazing anywhere near the mountain. Strict separation.
It really sets this apart as a unique, holy moment after everything that happened.
And Moses just does it. Chisels the stones, gets up early, carries him up the mountain. Obedient.
So he gets up there,
Mm.
alone, holding these blank tablets. What happens next? This is where it gets wild.
Yeah, the text says, the Lord came down on the cloud and stood there with him
Wow.
and proclaimed his name, the Lord. But then he does something extraordinary. He proclaims his character.
This is huge. It's like God defining himself right at this crucial moment.
Exactly. He passes in front of Moses and declares who he is. And the description, it's just stunning. The Lord,
Doubling the name for emphasis.
the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger.
Think about that. Slow to anger, right after the calf incident.
Seriously, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin.
I mean, that's just overwhelming grace and steadfast love, isn't it? Covering everything.
It really is, but then almost in the same breath.
Right. It doesn't stop there. There's the flip side.
Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation.
Whoa. Talk about holding 2 things in tension. Immense forgiveness, but also real consequences. Justice.
How do you even process that? Mercy and punishment side by side, proclaimed by God himself about himself.
It tells you God isn't simple. It's a complex character, holding this incredible capacity for love and forgiveness, but also an absolute commitment to righteousness. Sin isn't just swept under the rug.
Especially poignant right after they'd seen the consequences, like the plague.
Exactly. Both sides are real. The grace is real. The justice is real.
So Moses hears this direct self-revelation. What's his reaction?
Immediate worship.
Hmm.
He just bows right down to the ground, understands the gravity, the holiness of the moment.
And then almost immediately he speaks up.
He does. He leverages that moment of favor, saying, if I have found favor in your eyes.
Then let the Lord go with us. He asks for that divine presence among the people, despite everything.
And he's honest about them. He calls them a stiff-necked people.
Doesn't sugarcoat it at all. He knows who he's dealing with, who he's asking mercy
I
for.
hope he lays it bare. Forgive our wickedness and our sin and take us as your inheritance. He's back in that mediator role, pleading for them.
And remarkably, after that frank assessment, after the recent failure, the Lord agrees to renew the covenant.
It's incredible grace. I am making a covenant with you. Just like that.
And it comes with these huge promises, wonders like never before.
Yeah. Before all your people, I will do wonders never before done in any nation. So everyone will see how awesome the Lord's work is. A global demonstration.
But there's that condition, always.
Always. Obey what I command you today. It's a 2-way street. Obedience is required for the relationship to work.
And the promises include help with the land, right? Driving out the existing inhabitants.
Yes, he names them Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, all those groups. He says he'll drive them out.
And there was that other interesting territorial promise. about enlarging their borders.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating. He says he'll enlarge their territory, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times each year to appear before the Lord your God.
So their national security, their neighbors not wanting their land, is directly linked to them showing up for worship.
It seems so. It connects their faithfulness and worship directly to their physical safety and prosperity in the land. It's all integrated.
Okay, so the covenant is renewed, promises made, conditions set. What are the actual terms, the commands given here?
Right, the chapter then lists the specific rules. A lot of it circles back to separation and exclusive worship.
Like that really strong warning. Be careful not to make a treaty with the people in the land.
Yeah, because there'll be a snare.
Yeah.
It's about avoiding idolatry, avoiding being drawn into their practices.
It spells out the danger pretty clearly, getting invited to their sacrifices, eating with them.
And then the issue of intermarriage, leading sons into idolatry as well. It's a constant theme.
So it's not just passive avoidance, but active destruction of their stuff too.
Exactly. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, cut down their Asherah poles, get rid of the pagan infrastructure.
And the reason given.
Do not worship any other god, for the Lord whose name is a jealous God.
That name, jealous, really underscores the demand for exclusivity. It's not casual.
Not at all. It defines the relationship. And then, very pointedly,
Let me guess.
do not make cast idols.
All right, back to the calf. Can't miss that one. Okay, what else? There's stuff about time, festivals.
Yes. The religious calendar is reinforced. The Feast of Unleavened Bread
Celebrating the exodus from Egypt in the month of Abib.
ties their freedom story right into their yearly cycle. And the Sabbath command is there again.
But with that extra detail, right?
Yeah, the really striking part. Even during the plowing season and harvest, you must rest.
Wow. Even when it's crunch time, when everything screams work, the command to rest stands. That says a lot about priorities.
It really does. Divine command overrules perceived economic necessity. Then you have the other main feasts mentioned,
Feast of Weeks, first fruits of the wheat harvest.
and the Feast of Ingathering, the final harvest festival at the year's end.
Marking the agricultural cycle.
Hmm.
And the requirement to actually show up for these.
3 times a year, all the men have to appear before the Lord in person. Central gatherings.
Okay, then there were rules about like dedications and offerings. Firstborns.
Yep. The first offspring of every womb belongs to me. Animals too. Firstborn males of livestock.
But there were rules about redeeming them, like the donkey.
Right. Redeem a firstborn donkey with a lamb. If you don't, you have to break its neck. And redeem all your firstborn sons.
Sets apart the first and best.
Yeah.
And that rule about not showing up empty-handed.
No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Always bring an offering. Show gratitude, dependence.
Then we get into some really specific, almost odd-sounding rules.
Like, do not offer the blood of a sacrifice, along with anything containing yeast.
Okay, ritual purity detail.
And the Passover leftover rule. Nothing remaining until morning. Timeliness.
And bringing the best first fruits to the house of the Lord. But then there's that one.
Ah, yes. The famous one, do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk.
It just seems so specific, tucked in with these foundational covenant laws. How do all these different rules, tearing down idols, resting at harvest festivals, even the goat milk thing, connect back to that character God proclaimed? Compassionate, gracious, but also just jealous.
That's the key question, isn't it? They aren't just random rules. They're translating that divine character into lived practice. The jealousy demands the separation, the destruction of idols, the exclusive worship.
Okay, that makes sense.
The festivals, remembering the Exodus, celebrating harvest that connects to God's grace, faithfulness, provision. The offering rules reflect his sovereignty, the expectation of gratitude.
And the goat milk.
Well, interpretations vary, but often it's seen as respecting created boundaries, maybe avoiding pagan practices, maintaining a kind of symbolic purity or order that reflects God's own holiness. Together, these laws shape a distinct people whose entire life reflects the specific character of the God they serve.
It's about embodying the relationship. Okay, so the commands are given. Then the Lord tells Moses.
Write down these words. Make a record. This is the basis of the covenant.
And the time involved. 40 days and nights again.
40 days and nights, no food, no water, just sustained by being in God's presence. It's incredible.
And he's writing during this time.
He wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. So the core principles are inscribed in stone.
Then comes the descent. And this is where the physical manifestation happens.
Right. Moses comes down, tablets in hand, and the text says he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord.
He had no idea. He'd been so close to God's glory for so long, it literally changed his appearance.
Changed him physically, and he was oblivious, but everyone else
They saw it, and they were scared.
terrified. Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses. His face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. The evidence of the divine encounter was overwhelming.
So Moses had to call them back.
Yeah, he calls them over, the leaders first, then all the people, and he relays all the commands he just received from the Lord on the mountain.
But the radiance didn't fade right away, so what did he do?
When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face, a practical necessity.
And this became the routine?
Pretty much. Whenever he went into the tent of meeting to speak with the Lord, he took the veil off.
Face to face, as it were.
But when he came out to tell the Israelites the commands, they'd see the radiant face again, and then he'd put the veil back on.
Until the next time he went in to speak with God.
Right. The veil managed the intensity of that reflected glory for the people.
So thinking about that radiant face, the veil, what does that signify? What's the deeper meaning there about encountering God?
Well, it strongly suggests that being in God's presence, especially that intimately and for that long, is profoundly transformative. It literally leaves a mark, a visible sign of the encounter.
A physical reflection of a spiritual reality.
Exactly. And the veil. It highlights that the direct, unfiltered glory is perhaps too much for humans to handle continuously. Even reflected glory needed mediation for regular interaction. It points to the sheer power and holiness of the divine presence.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Exodus 34, we've seen this incredible moment of covenant renewal right after a massive failure.
A testament to God's character, that compassion, grace, and forgiveness he proclaimed.
Absolutely. Alongside that unwavering justice, we've looked at the specific terms, how they shape a life of separation and worship, reflecting that character.
From festivals to food laws, it all points back to him.
And culminating in this physical transformation of Moses, the radiant face, the veil, showing the sheer impact of being in God's presence.
It really brings together the themes of grace, law, divine presence, and human response. It sets the stage for Israel's life going forward, grounded in who God is and what he requires.
It really does. And maybe a final thought to leave with, that connection between the encounter, the covenant words, and Moses' face literally shining. What does that tell us about how Revelation impacts us? And maybe how does seeing someone else deeply marked by an encounter with the divine affect us? Something to really ponder.